should hit record. Have you hit record?
I have now hit record.
That's good. All this valuable thing. It's really impressive that Chad knows the elixir of immortality recipe and just won't tell anybody unless they show up at his house. It's amazing that he told us, but we weren't recording.
I know.
It's wearing this hat.
See, now when somebody breaks into your house and takes that
The
hat,
corn bushwhackers.
Corn belters.
That corn looks high.
there are no London rippers.
That corn.
Is it as high as an elephant's eye? So help me if you burst into Oklahoma, I'll kill you.
You know, I don't know the words. I've never seen it.
Well, see, it's about Oklahoma, and that, Joe, is where
I
the
thought it was about
wind.
East Texas.
That's where the wind comes sweeping down the plains.
All I know is Oklahoma, and I really don't know the rest of it.
Where the wind comes sweeping down the plains.
There
Yeah,
you go.
it goes whistling down the plains.
Whistling or sweeping?
I have no idea.
And by the way, Chad, coconut is awful. Really?
Yeah.
Okay, so you could use your name. If for those of you listening on audio, he changed his name to Coconut is Awful. You could have said childhood leukemia is awful, but you're okay with that. It's coconut that you're worried about.
I mean, just because he didn't mention childhood leukemia doesn't
No,
mean
but
he's okay
he
with
had,
it.
he had
However,
one window he could have addressed something he didn't like.
I doubt in his 45 years of life, that's all he's getting. I hate to be
44.
Really? You look 45.
No, you're only getting another. I think you're missing the point. Anyway, moving right along. In his 45 years that he'll
When
get
somebody
to
comes to steal that hat.
right. He has many options. Don't limit him about his disdain for childhood leukemia. Now, will he actually? I'm with you. I think he's pro, but
He is a pro at giving people.
I want to give him a second shot.
Leukemia doesn't get stuck in my teeth when I eat it.
Oh my
children
God.
do?
That went 10 times darker than any joke I was going to make. You're a terrible human being.
And children.
In all fairness, James, you left me no choice. I didn't know how to get out of it.
God, I could have darker.
Just said, James, you're a
Other
terrible
than
person.
to just sit here silent, which in our podcast is dead air.
Dead air.
Not a lot I could do. So
which is actually our fans have been requesting more of that.
So yeah,
could y'all just have some downtime?
based on our decline in listeners. Yeah,
it depends on the topic.
Yeah, which this one is not going to increase.
It might.
We don't know.
Random ass topic things work.
We don't know. Maybe the video will capture a ghost on film, and people will want to see that.
Oh.
By the way, to our listeners and viewers, the topic for today is.
Yeah, well, Chad has got to work tomorrow. James has been sick, and I'm useless.
I'm on the draw.
That's according to Elon Musk. Yes, you are.
I don't have to work. I'm on the draw.
According to Elon, that is accurate.
Once again, though, the only thing that you see is that I'll be honest, and this isn't a political statement, but do you kind of step back now and think maybe those crazy people that wear, the tinfoil hats and say, I don't file nothing with the government are onto something now? Like if a private citizen can go, I've got access to all your financial records now. I'm like, man, maybe I should have paid those taxes.
Hey, listen, in this new, I can't say anything. There's no way for me to get out of this one.
Nope.
Chad couldn't get away from childhood leukemia. I can't get away from this because I'm sure we have listeners on both sides of the aisle. I don't.
No, and to me, it's not.
I don't think we have a ton on the one side, but maybe I'm wrong.
But to me, it's not a political statement. It's the realization that there, like the people, the fact that I have extended family members who are now posting, I was right not to, register with the government. Okay, maybe you were. I don't know. I don't know how it's going to play out. We don't know.
I don't. Yes.
I did.
I don't disagree with you, James. I now agree with the brain gremlin and gremlins too. We should put all of our money in canned foods and shotguns.
I did, by the way, have this odd realization, and this was timely a few. Well,
you know what they don't put. You know what they don't put in cans?
Shotguns. You can't can a shotgun.
Coconut.
They do actually,
because you can't get it out of your teeth, like the children.
Yeah. They do not put. Do they really put coconut in a can, James?
Yeah, you get canned
I
coconut.
think you can get canned coconut.
The
By
world's
the
just gone
by
to
the way,
shit.
by the way, what the moral of this is, everybody listening, on the off chance Chad becomes a zombie and or a vampire, to protect your children, roll them in coconut.
He only
It's
has
the
a year
only
left to
we
get
need.
this accomplished.
He
Who
only
says? Who says I'm not already? Have you seen my palish skin?
I thought he was going to say his pecs.
No,
that
nobody wants
those
to see
two.
those.
But I did have this realization, and this won't be timely anymore by the time this airs, and it's not timely now because they were announced and already ended.
Like that shirt of yours.
Thanks, Heidi Klum, for your sick fashion burn. Anyway,
I don't even get it.
I don't either. I was just that's why I said Heidi Klum. I don't know. Does she critique fashion? I don't know. And that's no offense to Heidi Klum if
She's
you're
a
listening to this.
model. She dressed like a worm for
I
Halloween.
know that's actually why her name's in my head. I'm like, oh, she's actually creative. She does weird stuff, and that's cool. And I like
I don't think
anyway.
she's creative. She hires people to be creative.
But that takes a level of creativity other models don't have, who just So I'm
You
giving her
know a lot of
credit.
models?
I mean, I know a couple. They're not like models like supermodels.
No, they're the Frankenstein. They're the creatures. They're the universal creatures you built that are on your show.
Yeah.
These are the
Oh,
models I
man.
know. They ain't creative as shit. They just sit there.
But
Hey,
um,
Frank, do something.
and
Damn.
they're poorly painted because I had to paint it. No, the but I had this realization when the not blockade, when the tariffs was announced, the brief tariffs that are now resolved. But I had this moment. I'm like, I need to watch the Phantom Menace. We're living in Phantom Menace time
Yeah,
because
Well, yeah.
it blew up on my timeline of people going, "Holy shit! The first 30 minutes of the Phantom Menace is playing out."
yeah,
Yeah.
I had that entire moment where I'm like, wait a minute, because the title card, the first scroll, the first paragraph, I'm like, that's exactly what is happening.
George Lucas is the soothsayer once again,
Yep, we need to. I mean, it was funny because he's writing about the past technically, but he's telling the future. This, kids, is why you need to study history.
and Star Wars.
I mean, there's not a major for Star Wars, and there won't be because that's not where we're going.
It's not where we're going on. So, gentlemen, my idea for this was a little bit while we're so we'll get a little bit off politics. What have you seen lately that you've liked that
You
we
know,
can highly recommend?
can I back up one set about
You can back that thing up.
I left
Use a
You're a
fine
big, strong man.
motherfucker.
because it's on this topic, but I felt terrible in when we did our best of 2024 list,
You don't look good.
and I left something that I truly, really, really loved off my list, and I didn't realize it until like weeks after. I completely forgot to mention that how much I really enjoyed Kite Man Hell Yeah from last year.
I haven't got to watch it yet, but
I
I'm
haven't
waiting
watched
for
it
somebody to
either.
tell me if I should or not. So I should.
Yeah, I really, really enjoyed it. I
Cool.
like it a
Now,
lot more than Harley Quinn, to be honest with you. And I know that's going to piss a lot of people off, but I do. I just really enjoyed it. It was so bizarre, so
but
off the wall.
I like, but like I'm excited for the second season of Peacemaker
Yeah.
because it's bizarre. Like the
Mhm.
the, the opening credits of Peacemaker had me sold on
Yeah.
that show.
Now, speaking of Harley Quinn, I will say this: this new season of Harley Quinn is like right back where season one, because I feel like the seasons in between have kind of like I've kind of lost something, and but this new season has seemed to kind of capture what season one had for me. So I'm very pleased with this new season of Harley Quinn. Um, but to talk about I talked to you all last night, so I'll mention it. Man, I finally got around to watching The Substance. God, it was so good.
Yeah, I need to watch it. I so
It's streaming
is it
somewhere
living
now,
the
isn't it?
half? Is it living up to does it live up to the hype?
I agree. I believe it does.
Okay. That's good.
Even though I will say it takes some leaps that I'm just like, what? But man, when I found when they gave Drew Barrymore the Golden Globe,
Or Demi
what
Moore,
did I say?
Drew
Drew
Barrymore.
Barrymore.
God damn it. When they gave Demi Moore the Golden Globe, I thought it was just like, here's a talented actress who's never got an award, and this is the pity award because she's actually done something that's, man, she was good in this.
I want to see it. I do. It never it just I don't know.
But the fact that they gave it to her for what's basically a really well-made horror film, I was like, wow, she got an award for this. I just couldn't believe it. Um, which you know that everybody knows that it's a horror film, but I'll be honest with you all, this is one of those movies where I was just so happily pleased that I didn't know a whole lot going in.
I've watched a couple of the sequences, but I don't know a whole lot. I know the premise. I know about them.
I go
I know the
ahead.
premise
I
about
didn't
the
even
two body double. Yeah.
all I knew was it was about Demi Moore. Demi Moore was an actress who was aging. That's all I knew, and that there was this drug called the substance. That's all I knew.
Yeah.
Say what you will,
And
it's an effective remake of The Stuff. Sorry, that was for three people. Three people. That was for
Three
you,
people.
three people.
Three
If you
people.
get it, congratulations.
Mhm.
so I had a general idea of what I thought was going to happen, but it's not what I thought it was, and I was just like, oh my God. I was just completely just mesmerized by the whole thing all the
Yeah,
way through.
I know a lot of people are really, really on the bandwagon for the body horror that is in it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know how the third act plays out. I mean, I know the premise and I've seen a couple of sequels, but no, I'm serious. I don't know. Like you're,
I know. When you said how the third act plays, it made me smile because it's just.
yeah, no, because I don't know how the third act.
I'm not going to say. I'm not going to tell you anything. I'm not going to tell either of you anything because I know y'all haven't, because it's not on any streaming service.
Oh, is it not? I thought it was streaming sitting
It's on
somewhere.
a streaming service called Mubi, which is the company that financed it. Mubi. I'm probably even
Yep.
pronouncing it wrong.
Yeah,
Um,
I know movie.
We order sausage biscuits from Moobies.
Um
so I rented it. I just said I just couldn't take it anymore, and I rented it off of
there was a long list of things he couldn't take anymore, but instead of acting on some of them, he just rented it, and
Oh,
that's
I
why a
mean,
lot of people
I
are still
rented.
alive.
I was so pissed because Kill has been out for such a long time, and finally rented that, and then it finally got. I rented that 2 weeks ago, and now it's on Hulu. It got released on Hulu last night.
Kill?
It's a movie from India.
Oh,
If you all want, I would I recommend you all watch it. I think you all would be entertained. It's about a guy who is chasing the love of his life on a train. She's getting ready to be. It's an arranged marriage, and this band of this family of bandits take over the train to basically rob it, and things go absolutely crazy from there.
yeah.
I know it's not the same type of movie, but is it
It's
as
getting
good?
them. It's
Is it
getting
as
them.
good as Monkey Man is?
Oh, James.
I still haven't watched Monkey Man.
Oh man, Monkey Man.
No, it's not as good as Monkey Man, but it's pretty good.
Along the same lines, what I'll add, for a no topic show, we seem to be doing a here's what we missed. I
I have a whole list of things I could go off
I
on,
did.
but
I
I
thought
don't
that's
want
what
to.
because we're supposed to tell people to go find good stuff.
Yeah, I
well,
mean, if you all want to take a turn, I could keep going because
Yeah, I
if
can go whenever you're ready. James, you can
I
go.
was gonna say, I watched it. I told you all this off the air, but I'll talk about it on there. I was exhausted on a plane and watched Saturday night and woke right up.
Yeah.
Saturday night, the making of the first episode, literally just actually, it's the 90 minutes leading up to the airing of the first episode of Saturday Night
Mhm.
Live. And I went back and read, and I know Joe, you told me this, but I went back and found other people that were there, and they said no, it's pretty much accurate. It is pretty. I mean, there's a little
They
license
take
taken here and
liberties. Yeah,
there.
yeah, yeah. There's certain things that happened that didn't happen at that time, but happened. They,
Happened.
they
Uh,
condensed it.
but it is just compelling. If you, especially if you're a fan of old Saturday Night Live, back in the day, you all may remember this. Nick at Night used to air the old Saturday Night Lives. They would just
And
rerun.
they cut them down to 30 minutes.
Yeah, yeah. And so I watched a lot of what was the original Saturday Night Live, and I say original with Chevy Chase and Dan Aykroyd, and so I knew a lot of, like, there's a lot of references to sketches that would eventually come along. Um, the without giving anything away from the movie, there's one of my favorite from when I was a kid watching the reruns on Nick at Night. Dan Aykroyd as Julia Childs,
Yes.
where he cuts himself and I laughed as a kid. I thought I didn't know who Julia Childs was, but the fact that this cooking show host it was hilarious. They make reference to that as a pitch, and it ends up not making it the first night. But so much of that, what it really captured for me as somebody that, because I've actually just listened to an audio, before I watched the movie, I listened to an audio book that covered the biography basically of the first 10 years of the show. And having listened to that and then watched that episode, it really, the in 90 minutes, not focusing on just one character or one person, but bouncing around to all these different people, it really captured for me, like, oh, we hear about the drama between, you know, Chevy Chase and later Bill Murray. And Bill Murray, of course, was that later. He's not in the movie. But we hear about it, but then you see what happened and you see it kind of from their point of view. And you're like, oh, well, okay. Yeah, no, that makes perfect sense. You see how, I mean, because it was more or less a fight originally between Belushi and Chevy Chase.
Yeah.
And it was just, and it's fascinating because honestly, watching it, even though you're just getting snippets because the camera bounces around to, or well, the movie follows different people and what's going on, you really get the feeling for, I'm like, oh, man. And not that he'll see this, but I really am a fan of Chevy Chase. But it's one of those things. I'm a fan. I don't know if we'd hang out.
I don't think if the three of us, I think we would be fine at a convention
Yeah.
for an hour, but I think to actually know him personally, I don't know that the three of us would probably hit it off.
And I don't know if there's many people I would. And that's, I mean, that's probably more of a me thing, I should say. That being said, like, I'd like to try to hang out with Dan Aykroyd. I'd like to try that one. But that being said, the rest of, you're talking about a show that had huge personalities. And that's why the movie is just so compelling as it bounces between. You're like, oh, none of this should have worked at all. We are amazingly lucky that we even got to see any of this because those were huge personalities.
Yeah.
And not, I say huge personalities, not egotistical necessarily, though some of them had some ego, but they were huge personalities in that. I want to say Grant Morrison. That's not his name. What's the name? African American actor.
Shoot, Garrett Morris.
Garrett Morris. Grant Morrison is a comic book author.
When you said it, it replaced it in my head.
Yeah, Garrett Morris, like, he's fascinating. The actor they have play him, and I know he's still around, and I know that he suffered, dealt with drug addiction issues for a long time. His issue was he kept wondering, why am I here? He was a classically trained actor who was a playwright before he ever was on Saturday Night Live. Why is he there? And so you get to see these little snippets where you're like, yeah, it is amazing. It's a fascinating movie that, like I said, I was exhausted. I'd been up forever, over a day at that point, and it just woke me right up because I was like, oh man, it's something I really like. Saturday Night Live. I love Dan Aykroyd. I love kind of that, and so I was like, oh, yeah, absolutely, this is fascinating. So that's one of mine.
I snuck out. Well, I shouldn't say snuck out. I had some opportunity the other day, and have either one of you all heard or seen Companion?
I've heard of
I've
it.
heard of it. I haven't seen it.
So it is truly one of those things, where Chad talks about the less you know,
Right.
the more you'll enjoy it. But I have two complaints about it. One, it's good, but it's not as good as some people led me to believe. For a couple of reasons I can get to in a minute. But two, even I tried to avoid it. I didn't even watch the trailer trying to avoid it because on Twitter somebody was like, "Oh my God, it's so good. Don't watch anything." I avoided the trailer and went to look at the show times, and the little sentence log line gives it away. And then when you walk up to the movie theater, on the poster, it gives it away.
Gotta love marketing.
On the poster, Chad. Now,
Yeah.
there's another kind of a twist towards the middle that I didn't, and of course I was I don't know where I'm going with this. The movie's fine. I enjoy it. And Jack Quaid's in it, and Jack Quaid plays, you know who Jack Quaid plays? Jack Quaid.
Quaid.
He's so good at it.
Yeah, Jack Quaid plays Jack Quaid in Novocaine, which I'm looking forward to.
Yeah,
Well,
I'd like to see.
but there's something to be said for that too. Like I love Jack Quaid, and I love the fact that I know who Jack Quaid's going to be when he's in something.
I agree. So Jack Quaid plays two characters. They're both Jack Quaid. One of them is Jack Quaid, who is a bumbling idiot, who is not a good guy. Jack Quaid is the other one who's kind of a bumbling idiot and falls into things, who is a good guy. Those are Jack Quaid's two characters.
Yeah.
I'm waiting for any kind of counter argument. I can't find anything different.
He hasn't been cast in anything that reflects either one a different character.
But I don't think I'm
you leave
wrong.
Boynes alone.
By the way, and he does them magnificently.
Oh, yeah.
If it sounds like I'm shitting on Jack Quaid, I'm
No,
not.
no.
If I was in his lane, I would do the same thing.
No,
We've been Bonehead for 7.5 years. We will do the same thing.
But he is I'm gonna do a dramatic example. He's the Pacino of the everyman. You know what I'm saying?
Great look, yeah, he's not a hideous guy, but he's not hot.
No, but he like even his voice work has so much like I'm like I get it. I understand that guy. I understand every decision that whatever character he plays, he imbues enough humanity into it, which I think is the real power of his acting, is that, all the stuff that he's been in, there's never been something that his character did where I was like, oh, that's a leap. Because it follows the logic and he is able to imbue these fantastical and weird, like, again, Lower Decks comes to mind. He plays multiple versions of himself and he makes them all okay. No, that follows. We can do that. Awesome, makes sense.
So the movie is pretty good. Not great. It's pretty good. I feel that you two would probably see it even quicker than me of where it's going.
Okay. I'll see it. I mean, I'm going to see it. It's just
no. The actress is fantastic. And Jack, all the acting's good. It really is. It's just well acted all the way through. That's actually it. It's really good. Well, the acting's so good, but the actress is fantastic. I just wanted to say, Jack Quaid, bumbling, not a good person. Bumbling, decent person.
yeah.
Okay. All right. Who's next?
The other movie I just seen recently that I have to recommend. It's a bizarre one in terms of bizarre comedy, but I did enjoy it for its just bizarreness. Is Let's Start a Cult.
Yeah,
And
I haven't heard of it.
It's on Hulu. It just got released on Hulu. I've been looking forward to seeing it. And what it's about is it's about this cult. And there's this one overweight guy who's basically annoying. He's rude. He's a jerk. He annoys everybody in the cult, and the whole thing is this cult is preparing for mass suicide, and they decide to do it without him.
That's just mean.
So they send him off on a task, and he comes back, and they're all dead, and it's about him.
Are you sure we didn't write this? Because it sounds very similar to something we almost did.
Yeah. And it's about him. It's about him dealing with the fact that his cult is gone without him, and then he decides to start his own cult. And it's that, and it's all about him finding members. And there's a little twist that I won't tell you what the twist is in case you're curious about watching.
I was about to say that if that wasn't the twist.
No, because that's like in the first like that 10 minutes.
Well, now I have to review this. This is hilarious.
It's a comedy. It's a straight comedy. There's no horror to it. It's not for everyone.
It's got the word cult in it. I'll work.
Yeah, it's got my level of humor in it. I'll be honest with you. So,
oh, there's a lot of poop and fart jokes.
No, none.
Well, then I don't know what you laughed at.
But Jay? Yeah, I just loved it. Let's start a cult.
I have this time. Anyway, now I'm going to go back. I've said this before, but if you're not watching it, it just keeps getting better. if you're not watching Slow Horses, you need to watch Slow Horses.
I watched the first 2 or 3 episodes. I need to. I
I have
really
not heard of this show.
Oh, it's
we
Gary
talked about it on here
Oldman.
before.
Is it on Apple?
Yeah.
Yes.
That's why I haven't heard of it. Sorry.
Uh, by the
But
way, there was a joke.
we've actually talked about it in front of you.
Uh,
There was a joke, and I can't remember. It might have been on Family Guy or something. I can't remember where it was. If somebody knows, if you all know, say it. But obviously, if not, if somebody else knows what I'm talking about, put it. And it said Apple, where we'll put tons of money into shows, but not tell anybody about them. And then it shows like clips from Silo and clips from yeah.
Or they have 7 or 8 shows, 6 or 7 movies. They don't do as much. They just don't do as much as the other streaming services. And when you go on their app, it will basically kind of gloss over their shows, trying to get you to rent or buy whatever movie's on.
right.
That is my complaint about Apple's app.
Man,
Yep.
when I had it briefly,
I need to
it was
cancel.
kind of funny. They had nothing in terms of original programming, and then when I canceled it is when they finally started releasing original program. It was
I
like
mean,
a month later.
there's some good stuff on there. I'm trying to think of what I finished on. I mean, Ted Lasso is a really good show. Slow Horses, I go watch something else and didn't come back to it.
Yeah,
But
no, it's
but their app is just, oh God.
no. I mean, I and that's the entire thing. I go on there, and it, like, there's as a family, we watch Central Park, which if your kids like musicals, Central Park's good. Um, Josh Gad was one of the creators, and he performs in a lot. It's fun. Um, but I absolutely, I mean, hands down, Slow Horses, and I think the reason I like it is Gary Oldman's a jerk.
Hmm.
He's a terrible person who's an expert. And as the show goes on, like the first season, you keep thinking, oh, he secretly deeply cares about these people.
Hmm.
And in some ways he does, but I think it's in the second or third season, he has an entire rant where somebody calls him out and says, you're risking a lot of yourself for these failures. And he goes, they are absolute failures. They're completely useless, but they're my failures.
Hmm.
And that's the closest he gets to a kind word about anybody that works for him. And they're all, I mean, and so I find it fascinating because at the same time, they're manipulating the system. They are the system. And so I just find it utterly compelling to watch because in many ways, none of the characters, even the quote unquote good characters that are official and all that stuff that they kind of have to fight against, they're all terrible people. And some people will debate that thing, but I mean, generally speaking, and what I mean by terrible people, they're human.
Hmm.
Like nobody gets out of that show where you're like, oh, that's the in especially a lot of spy movies, and I love Bond and I love Bourne and I love all that, but a lot of those types of shows, even Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy, Smiley, right? All these characters are either bigger than life or they're always virtuous. And none of these characters are really virtuous. None of them are, I mean, they do good things, but sometimes it's almost in spite of themselves. So Slow Horses, I can put on and I can watch an episode, and in some cases, I don't get back to it for 2 months, but then I pick up the next episode. I'm like, it's it's like reading a really good short story collection. In that, yes, there's an overarching plot, but you're also following. Oh, okay, that makes sense, or this makes sense. Okay, well that, and so Slow Horses. I mean, I don't know how many seasons we'll end up getting of that show, but it is one that um, we talked about Penguin.
Yeah, I like
It's
Penguin a lot.
it's much the same way in my mind in that you're looking in on the lives of these, you know, terrible people. And I do think the reason I also like it is as much as there's also these isolated stories, there is an overarching plot where you learn more about Gary Oldman. And again, in so many of these types of stories, oh, you're going to find a redeeming quality. And actually, you find less and less redemption for him as you go along. But it's so compelling to watch. I think that's the difference between, to put it compared to another show, I can't watch Shameless. because Shameless is. Mm. But I can watch the descent of
I had a hard time with
the
Shameless too.
horses.
I don't even think I've ever finished the first season.
Yeah. So there you go. I mean, that's my parallel. So yeah.
I can't remember how much I talked about this during the end of the year show, but one of my favorite things that I just blew through and I loved it all the way. I mean, every single episode. I mean, and it's just so damn such a solid B good show. And I don't mean it in a bad way. I've said this so many times. Was Landman with Billy Bob. Billy Bob is freaking fantastic in that. He's a leading man in it. It just is.
I haven't watched it, and it's not that I don't want to watch it, but
Well,
I
I haven't
could.
got back into Tulsa King and I enjoyed that. I haven't watched the second
Well,
season.
and that's what I was gonna say. Is Tyler Sheridan just like cranking out things for me to watch at this point?
I don't know. I tried a little bit of 1883. I got through 3 or 4 episodes of it, and it's star-studded and has a ton of cameos in it, and I liked it, but I never really finished it. And then the one with Harrison Ford, I couldn't make that past the second episode. And I've tried Yellowstone now twice, and I still don't think I've ever finished the first season of Yellowstone. I'm told that I should keep watching it, but I just don't find it compelling for whatever reason.
Yeah.
I, and truthfully, it's tons of great actors in that. It's me. It just doesn't work for me. But Landman works for me so well. It's hilarious and it's sad and it's a little over the top.
Well, as Billy Bob has proven time and time again, he can pretty much carry anything.
He, I mean, he doesn't need to. There's a really
Yeah.
what's her face who plays his ex.
Allie Larder, I'm assuming.
She's great in it. She's great. The kids are a little annoying, and some of the romantic subplot stuff I could, that's the reason I say it's a solid B show. But Billy Bob's just so freaking good in this show.
But
What'd you say?
no, I'm just saying he does like I just think he can carry any show he does. I mean, from Hearts of Fire with John Ritter and Marky
Which I don't
Post,
even remember. I've seen scenes from it, but I don't remember
but
it.
he was good in it. He carried them.
Did he?
Yes.
I don't know that he carries that first season of
He,
Fargo, but it's pretty hard to beat the first season of
oh
Fargo.
my God, he totally carries that first season of Fargo. He was the
He's
best
the
part.
most interesting character. He's the best part, but I think
Yeah.
Martin Freeman's good. Everybody's good in that show.
Yeah, but he's the best part.
I didn't. I just said he's the best part, but
This
there's
is why I kept watching.
Oh, I don't know. I was knuckle deep in all of them.
I was knuckle deep in all of it, but he was the main
Those
reason
first
I
two
was
seasons
just
of Fargo.
driving on.
Oh, those are so good, especially that
It
first
was,
season.
it really was the first season of Fargo's
And the
just
second
perfect
season's
television.
really good too. It's
Yes.
really good. It's a little bit of a stretch at the end
Yeah.
that I won't give up, but I get what they're trying and it's fine. It's so good. There's so many, yeah. But yeah, if you guys haven't watched and once again, it may not I don't know that it'll work for you two other than Billy Bob, but it's just so damn good. John Hamm's good in it.
Hmm.
Is it
Actually,
as good as
go ahead.
Hellfighters with John Wayne? You ever
You know,
seen
I
that
don't
one?
know that I've ever seen it.
I,
I know
t-
what
I
you're
just
talking
know it
about. I
involves
know it's
it
fine.
involves oil drilling, right?
Hold on. Let me answer this. If it's John Wayne, then the answer is yes.
Don't you besmirch the Duke
I will say
unless you're talking about treating people fairly and Indigenous Americans.
it is not
Anyway,
a perfect it's not a perfect show, but there is one thing that they really should, and hopefully they fix it with season 2. Demi Moore's in it and it's criminally underused. She has very little to do.
Hmm.
So I wonder if they somehow there's a big I kind of see where the second season's going with her character, but I mean she to me she's a fairly still people know who that is.
oh
Mhm.
yeah,
And, I don't she has very little to do in the first season.
For me, so it is just now starting, and I hope they don't shit the bed. But man, Paradise on Hulu has me hooked.
What is it? I've never heard of it.
Oh, I guys, if you
You keep
haven't
saying
watched,
Hulu, and I keep waiting for them. They finally yesterday sent me well, you can do it for $2.99. I keep
yeah,
waiting for the $1.
you're not gonna get that till Black Friday. Um, I don't want to give too much away, other than that Sterling K. Brown is a Secret Service agent who his job is to protect the president, and the president is murdered, and it's him trying to figure out who killed him. And I cannot tell you anything else. And I will just say this: shit gets crazy.
Yeah, it's
There are
crazy.
there is so many twists and turns in the first episode alone, and then it just keeps going crazy. There is if you watch it, I beg and plead with both of you, watch the first episode.
Okay. As soon as I give up the ghost about Hulu, I will. I keep waiting for
Oh,
some.
you don't have Hulu?
No, I keep waiting for them to send me another offer, and I got really
No.
pissed because they wouldn't give me the dollar Black Friday because I already
Well,
had an account.
James, if you watch the very first episode
Joe,
and you get to the very final twist of the very first episode, you'll go, "Holy shit!"
you have Disney Plus, right, Joe?
Yeah,
Can you?
certain shows are on there.
I
Certain.
would say if you contact them though, because I paid for Disney Plus. Dana was paying for Hulu separately,
Yeah,
and then
that's
Silas
exactly what.
wanted the boy child. Silas wanted ESPN Plus because there was a game he wanted to watch, All Star game or something on there.
Same story, Jed. The James. Which one
And
are you again?
and
I don't know.
I was like, well, this is stupid. We've got to find some way to do. I was like, I'm not adding ESPN Plus by itself. And so literally, I think I may have done it on Twitter and just direct message Disney Plus, going, listen, what can we do? And there's a bundle that they can send you a code for. And I think I paid $1 to add ESPN or to add ESPN Plus and Hulu Plus to our Disney
No,
account.
they got rid of it.
Oh, well, never
So you're
mind.
screwed.
You
I
wait
do
too
Um,
long.
do a bundle. They do a bundle. It's just not a dollar.
Yeah,
And
it's not a dollar anymore.
yeah, I tried doing that a while back, but no, I will get it. Two things. One, I can afford it, but I was like, I need to know. I don't.
What
One,
my
I keep waiting for them to send me a special, which they finally did this week. And two, it's more of a social science experiment, gentlemen. I keep waiting for someone to ask, why isn't Hulu working? So if they're not using it,
well, I was
really,
gonna
I
say,
was the one
and
using it.
that's my point. Like I got Shutter again, and I canceled it 2 years ago because I wasn't using it, and I haven't turned Shutter on in the past month and a half. And I'm like, why am I paying for? I mean, and I like Shutter. Please, Shutter, if you hear this, I'm not. But quite frankly, I'm in my busy time at work. I need this stuff during the summer. I need a special that runs from May to about September
Yeah.
because that's the only time I have to sit down and watch stuff without my kids taking over the TV. Without
I,
so
I,
that's my problem is I'm paying I pay for Apple TV. We have Disney Plus. We have HBO Max. We
I
have
definitely need to cancel Apple TV. That's my fault.
well, I'm not going to till I finish Slow Horses, and then I'll renew it when they give me another season of Slow Horses. Apple, I'll be back. But because I canceled Central Park, so my family doesn't have that anymore.
Right.
But
Bastard.
anyway, yeah.
All right. Who went again? Are we good?
Me.
James, is there anything
me?
else you want to recommend?
I am going to say it ended, but I think 2024, just the meta-ness of it all. I want to say absolutely, What We Do in the Shadows, the final season.
Now
of What We
that's
Do in the
on
Shadows.
Disney Plus
Oh,
under the Hulu thing, but
here's why I loved the last season of What We Do in the
It
Shadows.
ended perfectly.
Yeah, so you watched it, Chad.
Oh,
That final episode where they're basically doing the meta critique, it would have made much more sense if this documentary would have been last year when we had to turn someone back into a human from being a vampire. That would have been a natural catharsis to the end of this show, to the end of this documentary. Yeah, that would have been. I mean, I literally was rolling because I was like, how do you end this after everything that they've been through, after everything that they've seen? It was brilliant. And honestly, though, and I've heard there's rumors and ideas circulating for a spinoff and all that stuff, but honestly,
leave it alone.
Well, actually, I'm all do it well, and I'm all for it. It's my Star Trek battle cry. Do it well. Spin off everything.
Hey, yeah, I didn't think I love the movie, and I didn't think the show was a great idea, and it turned out good. So
yeah, well, and that's what I mean. Like and there's so much to that show that I absolutely love. And even the weird things that, like when they originally did them, the ghost possessed doll of that being its own character and becoming part of the show. I was like, oh, that's brilliant. It's brilliant. I did think like when they first started, I'm like, oh, we'll never see it again, right? It's just a one. Nope, pops up again, and it's brilliant every time I see it. So all of that being said, I am so sad to see those characters go, and more and more, I'm just like Matt Berry may be, um, and I may sound like I'm favoring the British, but Richard Iodade, I'm sure I mispronounced that Iodade, and Matt Berry, I could watch do pretty much any form of comedy.
His voice is in so much that I didn't realize till the last few years. So much children,
Yeah.
just kids programming.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah.
By the way, he's also a jazz musician. He just released another album. It's his second album of jazz, and I'm like, it is. There was this comment made about is it Chris Hemsworth that's in the Ghostbusters Answer the Call?
Mm-hmm.
I
Yes.
watched the interview or the making of, and uh, all the cast said it's unfair how talented he is because they're like he actually can. And I feel that way about Matt Berry. You should not. That's a wealth of talent that you have, and it's unfair that I can't figure out how to open an envelope. Like there's why did you get all this talent and I'm a moron?
And
And
a
that's
great
because
voice. Just a
he
great.
is. Oh yeah,
He
and
also
he
has good
is.
hair.
Yeah, he's Jackie Daytona, baby. He's Jackie Daytona, human bartender. Uh, we need to say human. Anyway, that being said, no. So one of I was sad to see it go, but 2024 more or less gave us the final season of What We Do in the Shadows, and I didn't know how it was going to end, and I was like, "There's no way they're going to be able to end it in a good way," and they did. They did end it in a way where I'm like, "This is it leaves windows open if we need them, but at the same time, it's a beautiful closing." So yeah,
All right. I'm trying to think of something else, and I'm having a really hard time of anything that I've seen lately that really cranked my tractor.
I'm starting.
Nothing that's really new. I finally got the boy child into some Universal stuff, so I hadn't watched in a long time. But we made it through The Creature from the Black Lagoon. I hadn't watched it in a long time.
Oh, I've got one more, and I don't know if it came out. Y'all will have to correct me. Speaking of Apple, it is one that I do recommend because my son, out of the blue, wanted to go back, and he's been rewatching all of the um, Godzilla films.
Mm-hmm.
And Monarch,
Have you watched it? I haven't. I'm trying to get Q to start it, but we haven't.
it is. Do you like Kurt Russell? Do you like his son?
I actually think they're both his
They
son's
are,
good.
and that's what I mean. So, okay, let me put it this way.
Wyatt's great in a movie that nobody remembered, that World War II
Overlord.
Overlord. Wyatt's great in that.
Mhm.
So he is good, and obviously Kurt Russell's good, and they play the same character, right?
Mhm.
It's separated over time. Um, Silas and I started watching it, and he literally, usually, if you know my son, he'll watch one show or one movie, and he's like, "Can I game now?" Like he likes watching stuff, but then he wants to game. It's the first show in a long time that we watched one episode, and he literally said, can we go ahead and watch the next one?" He watched 3 episodes of it in a row, and all right, as movie nerds and as show nerds and as pop culture nerds, it's not going to be like, "Oh my god, this is all fresh and new." But for what it is, it bounces in time. You get a little bit. It kicks off with John Goodman on Skull Island,
Mm-hmm.
throwing his recording his video because he thinks he's going to die, and saying,
Spoiler alert.
well, no, and in that part he doesn't die. Like it meshes really well. It's really well done. And then the oh shoot, I'm blanking on the actor's name, but the actor that the character that sacrifices himself to resurrect Godzilla
Mm-hmm.
in King of All Monsters or whatever.
Oh, what's her
Um,
face? Yeah.
um, his character's in it and in flashbacks and so it is phenomenally well done for what it is. It is just compelling to watch as it jumps between 1940s, 1970s, and then kind of 1980s as you realize how the Monarch Corporation came together, and so the last episode that we watched, which I think was the third episode, is when Kurt Russell really comes into it as the older version of the character, and they basically have to break him out of this Monarch retirement home, which is basically, yes, he has everything that he wants, but because he knows so much, they can't let him out, and he breaks out
Mm-hmm.
with the help of these people trying to investigate. So,
All right.
yeah.
The only other two shows that I've watched recently that I recommend. I really enjoyed American Primeval on Netflix.
I thought about it.
It's not great by any means, but it was entertaining enough to watch, and I like Perry Gilpin. So,
I do too.
and man, it's not. I don't think it's everybody's cup of tea, but I just enjoy Castlevania and this new.
I
Oh,
liked
yeah.
it.
Okay, good. Well, then the Castlevania Nocturne, the newest season, just got released, and I marathon through it in the blink of an eye.
I liked
Um,
it a lot. I liked they have a lot of cool like Matt Frewer is one of the voices and
yeah.
yeah, I liked it.
Um, but the Castlevania Nocturne season two, God bless it, it was so phenomenal, and how they wrapped up the Lady Bathory story.
So I've not watched the new I watched that whatever is it 3 seasons of the first Castlevania?
Yeah, with Dracula.
Yeah, that I watched. I've never watched anything past that.
You should watch Nocturne. It's just as good.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. Yeah.
Yeah, this one, instead of Dracula, they're fighting Lady Bathory, the famous lady who in
Bathed in
history
blood.
she bathed in the blood of young
Virgin.
girls,
Yeah.
virgins. Yeah.
Yeah, I still don't understand how we didn't get a movie out.
Which
That-
is which is
Especially
why
since the anime works so well. I don't
I
understand.
don't, but God, I was like, there's no way they could top those first three seasons of Castlevania. And my God, they did it. They did it spectacularly.
I'll have to
which
check it out then.
which by the way, I guess we were talking about things 2024. I did enjoy the most recent season of The Boys. I know it got some kickback from people saying, "Wait a second, this has been political." Um, but it's
People are just completely just.
but and to me, by the way, the older I get, actually, the more apolitical I get, because I'm like, we're getting screwed on all sides, folks.
We
But
really are.
but I was like, oh no, there's nothing about that, because to me, if you think that it's reflecting current times, perhaps you're not wrong, but it's also reflecting a lot of history. And so I enjoy it. And by the way, The Boys is just fun anyway. I mean, it's a spoof on superheroes that we very much need. And I love superhero movies, but yeah. Should we end by anything? Anything y'all see in 2025 or anything
Dude,
coming up soon?
I was going to ask you all, and this is actually what I was going to say. This works perfectly. If I have got to see the monkey in 2 weeks,
If James is not in town, I want Joe to take me and buy me something pretty.
at the
Uh,
monkey,
Yes, to go
or
see the
just
monkey.
or
Y'all
just
see the popcorn bucket for the
yeah,
monkey yet?
AMC has a popcorn bucket, but you can
Yep.
only get them at AMC's.
AMC, which, as you point out often, Joe, are all around you at all times.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
Um,
Yeah, I want the popcorn bucket. No, I've got to say, and they had a red band trailer for it in front of
I have not seen one
I
trailer.
haven't seen anything,
dude,
and I don't
the
know.
I
trailer. I
honestly-
would tell you
I
to
have
see the
no
trailer.
idea what the movie's about.
I would tell you to see the trailer, because if you see the trailer, it's kind of like that Jack Quaid movie you want to watch where he can't feel pain. If you see the
Novocaine.
trailer, you're going to say, "Oh, that looks good. That's right
I-
up my alley."
I
By the
just
way-
want to see the movie.
Speaking of which, my wife and I have both agreed. I'm hoping it does well enough in theaters that it'll be in theaters next time I see my wife. Um, is it Love Hurts?
That comes out tomorrow. Yeah.
Yeah, I need it to be in theaters for at least 2 more weeks, because I want to see that, because I was like, that's going to be our date movie the next time I'm home. Because I just honestly, to me, it seems to fall into that subgenre of John Wick inspired madness that gave us Nobody, that gave us, and the idea of him being a real estate agent that had this secret past where he was, a master assassin or whatever. I'm like, I just want to see it. I've heard mixed reviews on it already. I'm like, I don't care. I'm not going to it thinking it's going to reinvent the wheel. I'm going to it because I just like him as an actor. I think he's likable, and then I see interviews with him, and he is somebody that I'm like, man, I could hang out with him. Like, if what he does publicly is any sign, Like he has those moments where he's like, I'm still shocked I get to do this. And I'm like, oh, that's cool, man.
Yeah.
I want you to do well. I want you to succeed.
He's good. I actually forgot what Love Hurts was, even though it had a trailer for it the other day. So I guess that says how excited I was about it. Yeah.
I just want, because it's supposed to, it's coming out on Valentine's Day. It's supposed to be a little bit of a date night movie. And I'm like, I want to see it. And I think another reason is there's nothing else coming out really, really soon. The Monkey, but I mean, as far as there's
I gotta see the
nothing
Monkey. I gotta see it.
outside of the Monkey, there's not been anything where I'm like, oh, I want to see that. And then I saw the trailer for Love Hurts. I'm like, that could be fun. I'm not saying it's going to, again, I was,
I
Dana
want to
and
see.
I
I
were
want to
t-
see Love Hurts too. But
yeah, Dana and I were
really
talking
want to see
about
the Monkey.
what can we agree on to go see around her birthday and Valentine's Day. And we both saw the trailer to Love Hurts. I'm like, that's it. That's the answer. That's what we're going to go see.
Yeah. All right. Well, this has been Bonehead Weekly Fun. Oh, no, it's been Bonehead Weekly regular size because we almost did an hour, even though we said
Sorry.
we are going to do 30 minutes. Okay.
Sorry, I get excited. I mean,
I
not
get-
about this, but y'all
I can
ever
see your
a
nipples
book?
through the shirt.
Which is weird because they're actually way down here. I have a medical condition.
This has been Bonehead Weekly.